friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it or I would myself. You know what happened and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Please hit that like button on the way in, leave a comment on the way out. Just wanted to react to Shannon Sharpe's Instagram response to his accuser, where I think that this was a bad idea followed by several other bad ideas. I think, and for what it's worth, I think Shannon's one of the greatest tight ends ever. I think that he was well ahead of his time. He was a great NFL player, and I enjoy him as a commentator and as a podcaster. With all that out of the way, I just think that this Instagram video was a bad idea followed by several other bad ideas. I think that Shannon is a petty person, and that's, again, hey, pot calling the kettle black. I understand that part of a petty person's personality, but I think that his response has been poor. That video followed several others. For instance, this young lady was anonymous. Nobody knew who she was until his attorney, Lanny Davis, released the text messages between Shannon and her. And I think that I think the lawsuit's BS, honestly. They had a consensual relationship, and to me, it seemed as if they had this weird little thing where they would say crazy shit to each other. Like they threatened to choke each other. She asked him to thrash her while she was wearing a dog collar. I just think that, that maybe it's the age gap. Maybe it's just this unspoken contract between rich people and attractive women. Girls like this who seek out rich guys, that, I'm with you as a man. I'm with you because you're beautiful. You're with me because I got money. And, at the end of the day, maybe the girl leaves with money and or a Birkin bag or something. But I think this young lady wanted a little more than that, and I think that that's where the conflict arose. And I think that they just had a weird dynamic where Shannon, I don't know, maybe they're both into the rough stuff. She asked him to choke her, and I think even that conversation was weird where he threatened to choke her when he saw her. I have my suspicions that it could have been role play. Maybe they had this ongoing role play. Even the conversation was just weird. And I think that to her credit, she did plan all this stuff out. She did make sure that there was plenty just weird and or violent, sexually charged text messages, videos, or whatever. And I think that they just had a strange dynamic where they have what they did and said to each other turn each other on. She asked him for a big black baby, and I don't know, and he threatened to choke her when he saw her. But it didn't sound like he was serious. It was just, I don't know. I think that that's just the way that they foreplayed. And what I also found ironic about Shannon's Instagram video was, he challenged the plaintiff's attorney, Tony Busby, to release the full sex tape. Whereas a year ago, when he accidentally was caught on Instagram Live having sex, or at least heard having sex, his rebuttal to that on his podcast with Ocho Cinco was that he would never do that on purpose because he would risk his upcoming $100 million podcast deal. And then, fast forward to now, he's asking an attorney to put out a sex tape, and so that to me just shows a little bit of desperation. It also shows that he's just not making good moves. I think that not responding to her and not saying anything, letting her remain anonymous, I think was the smarter play. And he's already apparently, according to his attorney Lanny Davis, Shannon already tried to settle with this girl, for 8 figures. So and now he's reversed course and saying he's not going to give her a thing. Which I mean, hey, it's his money to either pay out or not. I get it, but the title of this video is Unk Game Goofy? The answer is yeah. The answer is yes. I mean, this girl. I mean, he's been around this game long enough. He's been rich long enough. He's been having these flings, affairs, whatever with these the Instagram girls before they were Instagram girls. So he knows the game. And I think that, like I said, this one he just is having a hard time shaking her because she wanted $10 million. She didn't want to leave with a Birkin bag. She didn't want to leave with a car or 50,000 bucks. She wants more than he's willing to give, and I think that her timing. I mean, to her credit, her timing is fantastic because he's on the cusp of something big. I think he'll still get his deal, but I think the powers that be, whoever's about to give him a 9-figure deal, wants this to go away. And hopefully it does for her and him, because she is still a very young girl, and I'm sure she wants to live the rest of her life, not necessarily in infamy. I mean, who knows? And I'm sure Shannon's ready to move on into his the next phase of his career, where he, like I said, he's about to make 100 million bucks, or at least have a deal worth 100 million bucks. So like I said, I hope the best for both of them. I have my opinions about the lawsuit. I don't think it's legit. I don't, or at least I have a hard time wrapping my mind around people who have a consensual sexual relationship. Why did she come back around if things became violent, or if he essayed her? I don't understand it. But again, only he, her, and God know what happened. Something else that stood out to me was the Jay Z comparison. I think that there isn't really a comparison, and again, I think that that's another big misstep by Shannon. Now, in the Jay Z case, it was obviously bullshit. I mean, who would have left their 12-year-old at the VMAs, and Jay Z and Diddy both essayed her? I mean, it was ridiculous. And I think Jay Z was smart to come out to speak up because I don't think there was any truth in that case. And I'm not saying that there's any truth to Shannon's accuser's claims. However, they did have a relationship, and whether she is able to manipulate videos and release portions of text, release stuff out of context to make Shannon look bad or not, I think that even so, he took away his own cover by doxing her. And again, there just isn't any comparison. The Jay Z thing was complete and utter BS. I won't say that there's a kernel of truth. Again, only she and he know whether there's any truth to her claims. But again, because there's so much evidence, quote unquote, she could make him look bad, and she could make him appear to be guilty even if he's not. I think that he's taken a more dangerous course by um, keeping everything above ground. Just my opinion. And also, what also stood out to me was the fact that Tony Busby is also the attorney that had a lot to do with Deshaun Watson's downfall. And you could argue Deshaun Watson has a lot to do with his own downfall, and that's again, you get an argument from me there. But Busby represented over 20 of the women who accused Deshaun Watson of lewd acts. So again, Tony Busby had him in his crosshairs. He's Shannon is claiming to be in Tony Busby's crosshairs, and so is Deshaun Watson. So is Sean Combs. People who everyone more or less assumes were guilty or more guilty than not. So I think that the fact that Shannon, who's been critical of Deshaun Watson, and rightfully so, the fact that he didn't mention Deshaun Watson as another one of Tony Busby's targets, I think that was interesting. And it's very ironic that he finds himself in a not the same situation, but a similar situation where he's being accused of something that is appalling. And also, along the lines of irony, I think that the fact that Skip Bayless has been accused of sexual misconduct is pretty pretty amazing too. I mean, these guys were once friends. They once had a show together, or at least work colleagues. And the fact that they've both been accused of sexual misconduct is, like I said, just very ironic. At any rate, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.